Hey gals, good morning. I'm jumping on here today to talk about something that is one of my favorite topics, and it's all about confidence, how we can gain confidence. And this is coming from a gal right here, myself, who has always, growing up, I was the most insecure person ever. I was so, super dorky, and I really struggled with body confidence and I was terribly shy. So the thing that I did to overcompensate, or I did overcompensate it with, was doing a lot of video stuff, which kind of had to face my fears. And when I started doing all of that, I actually started liking it so much because it training and being on camera in itself gave me confidence. And it goes back to what one of my favorite authors, Amy Cuddy, she talks about presence, and she has a book called Presence. It's not about faking it until you make it. It's really just about faking it until you become it. And for me, I feel like I faked it all through high school. I faked it all through college. And all of a sudden now, 15 years later, I look back and I'm like, well, shit. I'm not faking it anymore. Like, I really do feel like a confident person. So I've got some tips for you today. 3 of my tips for how to gain some confidence when it comes to your career. And these are interesting because we've talked a lot about emotional bank accounts with Stephen Covey's concept. And I really do attribute confidence, like very similar to an emotional bank account. There's a confidence bank account that we have. And your confidence bank account is something, obviously imagine a bank account, and there's things that happen throughout your day that build that confidence, and there's things that happen throughout the day that will take that confidence quickly away. And so when you are wanting to build your confidence, you've got to do certain things. And I say it all the time, and I'll say it again. One, you've definitely got to invest in yourself if you want to gain that confidence. But there's other ways that you can do it too. So let's talk about our 3 ways. Number one way to boost your confidence is think about a situation that you're going to have to do that's making you uncomfortable. It could be a public presentation, or it can be a phone call you have to make, or just maybe an interview, or just anything that's making you uncomfortable. And I want you to take out a piece of paper right now. Take out a piece of paper, write down whatever it is that's making you uncomfortable that you have to do. And it doesn't have to be an event. It could just be something in general. Like, it could just be, that maybe you're not looking the way you want to look right now. Maybe you don't like your hair right now, or whatever it is that's making you like suck at whatever it is you want to do, and write it down. And this is actually a technique that they learn at Starbucks when it comes to customer service. You write down what's the worst thing that you could do, and what's the worst thing that could happen to you in this situation. So we'll use, if you have to do a public presentation and you're seeking out some extra confidence because you have to get in front of these people, write down that that you have to do this presentation. All right, what's the worst thing? I mean, when I think of a public presentation, the worst thing I can imagine would be like maybe like while you're up there talking, you trip and fall, like you literally fall in front of the crowd. I've done that. I've done that before. It's very embarrassing. Or maybe you completely forget everything you're supposed to talk about. Or for me, sometimes I lose my voice. I've gotten like a really shaky voice. So think about what the worst thing is that could happen. And then you write down the next thing I want you to do is write down, if that was to happen, what will I do? So if I am up in my probably too high of heels giving my presentation, and I trip and I fall, what will I do? What will be my response? Because you don't want to just laugh or get all weird and uncomfortable. So think about, if you saw someone trip and fall, what could they do to redeem themselves? And the thing that I personally think of is just to like get up and smile and be like, oh my gosh, that was embarrassing, but I'm going to keep on going. I'm good, guys. And then drop it and keep going. Like, don't keep talking about it. For me, that would be my advice if you were to fall. And you might have your own advice, but think about what you would want someone to do, and then you write that down and you read that over and over again. It basically programs your mind so that when that thing happens, whether it's tomorrow or years from now, your mind will be programmed to respond the way that you've been training it to respond. I remember which book it was from. I got this from The Power of Habit. Yeah, this is by The Power of Habit. And I can always send you guys the authors. Charles something with a D is his last name. Anyway, yes, so write down all the worst things that could happen. It'll give you more confidence. And if you're thinking about like quitting your job to kind of like maybe open your own business, you can apply the same technique. Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? Well, I could lose my house and be on the street. Well, if you lose your house, like, could you move in with somebody? Is there a family that you could live with? And you're like, well, I would probably move in with my parents. Yeah, that would suck. But if that's the worst thing that can happen, it helps put your mind at ease to know this is how I would react. This is what I would do if this happens. And really, when I step back and think about it, it's not that bad. So always just go ahead and write down what the worst thing is that could happen. And then you can put it in a bucket with a solution and put it up on the shelf and you're done. That's number one. Number two, this is a completely different tactic right here. We're like coming into a totally different world. Number two is if you want to gain confidence in your career, gals, I read an article that was just such a great point. And it said you should interview for jobs every 4 to 6 months. If you haven't interviewed for a job in at least 4 to 6 months, you're doing something wrong. Basically, it's not that you're wanting to quit your current job, but when you interview for jobs, even if you get offered and you decide not to take it, or you just go for an interview and that's it, think about the confidence that that gives you, especially if you get offered a position. I mean, if you are in your current job right now and you just got back from an awesome interview and you know they're going to offer you a great position, how much confidence is that going to give you going into that 3 o'clock meeting and you're sitting in that meeting and you're not agreeing with whatever this so-and-so hoo-ha is saying? You're going to have a lot more, you're going to be like, listen, this is what I think. And then you're going to think, whoa, you don't like it? Okay, well, I've got 3 job offers right now. You know, I can easily replace this company with another company. So you guys have to get in that confident mindset. Don't ever have the mindset of, I need my job. If you ever say those words, then you got to really take a hard look at what's going on with you, because you should never have that mentality. You should never be like, oh, well, I really need this job. Right there, you're never going to get promoted. You're never going to be successful, because you should never need a job, because I promise you that job doesn't need you. Every single one of you guys are completely 120% replaceable. We're all replaceable. And it's not personal, it's business. And you've got to realize that. So don't feel bad for interviewing for other positions. Don't feel bad for getting confidence to tell people in meetings that you don't really agree with what they're saying. And we'll do more trainings. You guys can join my workshop. We talk more about how to become more assertive and to have that great dialogue so you're not a bitch. You don't want to be a bitch. You want to be assertive. There's a difference. So that's number two, interviewing for jobs every 4 to 6 months. And if you guys need help with a resume, let me know. I love writing resumes. And then my last one that I have for you guys on this one is to ask for feedback. So I had a thing that I used to do with people that I worked with, and we would always have our coaching consulting meetings. And at the end of each meeting, I like to ask them if they don't mind to give me 1 or 2 pieces of feedback for me. And they should be constructive. And that's really hard for people, but it works 2 ways. So number 1, I'm teaching my team to learn to give hard feedback, because people don't like to give feedback. It's very uncomfortable for them. So I'm teaching them how to give feedback, but I'm also teaching myself how to accept feedback, because that's going to give me a healthier mindset. And it's going to help me with my confidence, because if you're not willing to ask for feedback, then you're just narcissistic. Everyone should be willing to ask for feedback. If you're not asking for feedback, then you think you're too good, or you know the feedback's not going to be good and you know that you can't handle it. So ask for feedback. End every meeting with, can I give you 2 pieces of feedback, and I'd like you to give me 2 pieces of feedback. And then it's a win-win for everybody, and it's a great way to build rapport with your team and just to be awesome at what you do, because we're not perfect and we need each other. So ask for feedback. So those are my 3 things. Definitely think about things that you're scared to do. What's the worst thing that could happen? Write it down. Have a plan. Number 2, be interviewing for jobs every 4 to 6 months. Great networking, great confidence booster. Build that confidence bank account. And number 3, ask for feedback. That's going to build your confidence bank account and maybe some withdrawals, but it's going to also build it a lot. It's going to give you a lot of credibility out there. So build your confidence, gals. Let's get those bank accounts and build it. Have a great day.